All right, greetings. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Sales Smarter podcast, where we're discussing everything sales, data, and marketing. Today, I'm joined by a lovely guest, Ayanda, who's Director of Data and AI at Microsoft South Africa. Ayanda, thank you for the time. We appreciate having you here. Looking forward really to learning from you. But before we dive into that, can you please just tell us about yourself, about your role at Microsoft, what that entails?
Thank you so much. Firstly, thank you for having me. Really, appreciate the opportunity to engage with you and engage with your audience as well. So I lead the data analytics and AI practice, at Microsoft South Africa. I've been with them now for the last 5 years. And really, I mean, it's an exciting time. I think, in business, whether it's private sector or even in public enterprises, as more and more people are starting to ask the question, how do we lever data more? How do we, take advantage of the opportunities presented by data? So I then lead a team that is driving these data-driven strategies across industries, and we have an exciting role of shaping what the data strategy looks like, and also shaping the initiatives that they have in terms of leveraging data as a strategic asset, whether it's monetization, whether it's decision making as to where the company should go, whether it's engaging customers, driving customer-centricity, and it's such an exciting role. My background is in technology. I've been in the tech space for the last 20 years. Okay. Started out as a developer and did a stint of 10 years, as a practitioner, in the field, working in public sector, and then the last 10 years have been customer facing. Okay. Where then I've been helping customers across all sectors in enabling digital transformation. Yeah. And I think most recently, in the last 18 months, with a lot of focus on data and AI specifically.
Okay. So look, as someone who's dealing with data almost on a daily basis, right? Yeah. How do you see data playing a role in how businesses make decisions?
I think we've now moved to an era where if you're not making data-led decisions, you're not making evidence-based decisions.
So it's guesswork.
It's guesswork.
Okay.
It's gut feel, right?
Oh, gut feel.
I grew up in an era where people were making business decisions based on gut feel.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Exactly. And people just made it because it just feels right.
I know what you mean. Someone said women have 6 senses. Their sixth sense is that gut.
It's that gut feel. As much as I think maybe there's still space, for you to be convicted, but let's use evidence to convict you, right? So yes, trust your gut as long as there's evidence behind it, right? And to me, I think that's how I see data playing a part now, right? Playing a data enables us to bring more thought process into the decisions that we make as businesses. Yeah. And leveraging historical data, because whenever we're engaging in these data conversations, there's always an issue. And somebody says to me, "But Ayanda, we've always been using data. We've always been done reporting, right? We've always been." And I said, "Yes, we've always been looking backwards, right? So data was telling us what happened." And in a lot of times, so this is where we've been using a lot of reporting, using a lot of insights as to what happened, but we've now pivoted to saying, okay, what does what happened tell us about what's likely to happen? Yeah. This is where then data, becomes key in terms of how do we lever what we know to venture into the unknown. And data plays a key role in getting us there. I get you.
I mean, I've been following, businesses such as Amazon. It was quite interesting. Also, even Starbucks was big on that. It's big on data, leveraging customer data. In fact, I read that the launch of their loyalty program was actually inspired by customer behavior. Like you can tag or swipe or something, and then get a free on your 10th swipe or something like that. You get a free coffee or something like that. Those type of rewards, right? It was actually driven by data. So my follow-up question to you is, for businesses which are still not catching up on this wave, what could be the challenge? Is it a matter of resistance? Is it a matter of legacy issues? What could be the challenge there? Because I'm seeing a couple of businesses that we interact and deal with on a daily basis who are kind of still stuck in the old ways of doing things. Why are they not now catching up on this data era?
I think one of the reasons is, you don't know what you don't know, right?
You don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know.
Okay, that's a good point.
And I see a lot of engagements around education. I think there's still a lot of education that's needed as to how businesses can really drive transformation, and drive better interaction with their own customers, and seek new ways. And you're not going to find new ways by looking at what you've always done. So businesses that are going to thrive, businesses that ask themselves the very difficult questions as to what is it that's going to propel us forward. There's a cliche, that people throw around all the time to say, what got us here is not going to take us there.
Yeah.
It rings very true in the world of data.
I love that.
How you've been doing things, it got you here. But
it's not enough for the next phase.
It's not enough for the next phase. And what you might be doing in the next phase is completely change your business model to take advantage of new opportunities, to take advantage of new customer demand, especially when we talk personalization. Customers now, the reason why you see so much loyalty programs, it's loyalty programs drive data collection. Right?
Okay.
Once you sign up into a loyalty program, they're able to collect data about your expenditure, right? And think about it in retail. Before loyalty programs, retailers did not know what Ayanda was buying, right? They just knew that a particular product in their store is doing better than the other, right? From their point of sale system. But when they aggregate point of sale data with loyalty data, all of a sudden the insights are a lot richer that they're able to get. Now they're able to gauge a lot about what's the combination of product in my basket and what does it say about me, right?
Yeah.
And how do they lever that to tailor what they market to Ayanda, so that Ayanda, we don't sell things to Ayanda that Ayanda has no interest on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is where the collection of data. So it's not about giving you that free coffee, your 11th coffee free after you've bought 10 coffees, but it's about what does those 10 coffees that you bought say about you, right? What additional things did you buy? A croissant with that coffee, right?
Yeah.
Is it just coffee, or does it have the added products that they have? Because it says a lot about you as a customer, your profile as a customer, how often you buy, where you buy it, right?
Yeah.
That the aggregation of that entire data is how they enrich your experience as a customer. And they have to then entice you in order to do that and build a loyalty program where you then get to earn points by making your data available to them.
I love that. I love it when you've used two words which are actually standing out for me. You've used advantage, and also you've used enriching experiences, right? Customer experiences, which is great. If used well, what advantage does data bring into our businesses? If used well, what are the benefits that we can actually get out of this?
Yeah, I think it can definitely improve customer loyalty.
Okay.
And increase engagement with the customer, and customer have a much richer experience in engaging with you. If maybe we go into the telco space, imagine your network gives you a call about your contract that is coming to an end, and rather than saying, hey, your contract ends on this date, right? We want to upgrade you, and here is a brand new phone that's just been released, and go about and do your new contract. And think about it, if they change the script and start to say, hey, in the last 12 months, we've noticed that you have not used your entire allocation of data. In fact, you use more voice minutes than data. And when looking at that, we see that the package you're on is not optimal for you. Here's a package that allows you to have the kind of data that you need and the kind of voice minutes that you need, given that you are a high voice customer.
Yes.
Is this something that you would like to take? Can we then, look back as a way to predict where you're going? Do you expect any changes in the next 12 months that maybe we might not be able to know? As a customer, a call like that resonates more, right?
I mean, that doesn't sound like it's like a no-brainer to me. It's a no-brainer, really. So definitely, I mean, if it's personalized and if I'm really getting value for what I believe I'm paying for, I'll jump for it.
You'll jump at it.
Definitely.
And I think even in sales organizations where we perhaps talking to corporates, right? Walking in with a lot more data points about their business, about what's important to them, about their market, about their competitors, about they could be in the regulated industries, what are the regulations saying? So how you then aggregate data about a prospective customer is very key in how you show up in front of that particular customer, right? Whatever you say will resonate more, just like in the consumer business, how you want to be treated, by your own, consumer service providers.
Yes.
Even in the corporate space, walking into customers cold, it does not leave a lasting impression in those particular customers. So whether we're using data in the traditional consumer business, understanding your customers, or in the enterprise space, the impact is the same. It's all about putting the customer at the center of the things you do.
Okay.
And how do you collect that data and leverage that data and use that data to create those lasting customer engagements. We've also seen it being used as customer retention. Creating experiences that allow your customers, to improve the services that you offer to them. We see it in a very competitive financial industry. How do you retain your existing customers, whether you're in banking or in insurance? How do you keep them engaged? How do you keep them informed? How do you keep them interested? And data is at the center of how we leverage, better customer intimacy across the different segments, and I think data is the glue that brings it all together. Yeah,
I get you. I asked you a question in terms of what your opinion is around businesses which are somewhat left behind. Your answer was you don't know, right?
Yeah.
Which is great. What does it mean for those businesses? Is it like a dead end?
No, I think it's what it means is that people need to learn new things. And in some cases, you need to unlearn in order to learn, right? So there are some behaviors that you need to leave behind in order for you to be able to embrace, new ways and new behaviors. And I do believe that businesses have an opportunity right now, no matter how small you are. You could be a corner shop, you could be a hair salon. How you collect data about your customers. Let's delve deep into a very simple business, like a barbershop or a salon, right? I grew up in salons where they just had a book at the front, where you used to just come and write your name, your phone number, and then you had to have a haircut, and then it's 20 rands, right? And then you pay, and then off you go. They were collecting data, right?
Yeah, I get you.
But what were they doing with that data? It was just in a book, right? And a small business today, investing in such a very simple web tool that begins to collect maybe the same data, right? Maybe you'll just extend it a little bit more to enrich the experience, and start to collect that, and then start to ask yourself, what does this data tell me about Ayanda, right? What is he likely to do when he comes here? How often does he come here? How much money does he spend here, right? And a very small business like that will start to have curated marketing campaigns. Maybe drop Ayanda a WhatsApp when you're running a special on haircuts.
Yes,
Instead of sending Ayanda a special on facials, your data is not telling you that he's interested in facials, right? So it allows you then to be a lot more targeted in your marketing.
Targeted. I love the word targeted.
Targeted.
Yeah.
But it presupposes that you've collected the right data that you can then analyze in order to get to the targeted approach. So how we define how we do business, how we interact with customers is very key, because collection of that data is what will lead to an improved customer experience.
I get you. I think Michael Porter did warn us about this type of things, especially when he dived deep into the issue of competition.
Yeah.
One of the points he raised in there was actually the biggest threat for business will be new entrants in the marketplace. And we've seen that, right?
Yeah.
With what today would refer to as the underdogs, who come into the space to cause disruption because they're more agile, they're more innovative, and also hungry to prove a point, to say, hey, we can offer something a little bit better, right?
Yes.
Compared to what you've been dealt with in the past. Then my question to you is, how can businesses still thrive, stand out in this hyper-competitive space that we're finding ourselves in?
I think technology now has advanced to a point where we have, software as a service. We have platform as a service, right? The investment or the entry in taking advantage of technology is not as huge as it was before. It has become accessible because it's pay as you use. You pay for what you use. It's subscription-based services. Whether you are a small, 10-man business, or you are a 200,000 employee business like a global giant, you consume technology as a service, right? Every business is now changing into a technology business. Think about it. What differentiates car manufacturers now is the tech in their cars, right? So it is safe to say now that what's going to make the next level, or somebody's going to leap out of their competition, is going to be how they lever technology in order to be able to do that.
Okay.
And not all of us will have big R&D budgets in order to make cars that fly, right? but we can leverage platforms that are created in order for us to be able to do that. And this is the new muscle that I believe business, especially small businesses, need to be able to take advantage of now, to say, how do we become a tech-driven business in still fulfilling what we do from a core business perspective? Because customers have shifted into online platforms, right? This is where you interact with customers today, right? Across the value chain, people are online all the time, right? If you are a business that doesn't have online presence, then you're being left behind. But let alone, most people think online presence is saying, let me have a website, let me have a Facebook page. That's 10 years ago, right? Right now is, how do I transact online, with you as a business? So this is where I see businesses across the board saying, not only must I be present, I must be interactive as well in my presence in the online platform.
Yeah, I get you.
How do I transact? How do I communicate with my business? How do I become always on? And this is where automation starts to come in, because you're not going to be permanently having men and women behind the screen, interacting with customers.
Yeah.
But you have technologies that can help you leverage and do that, and allow you to be always on with customers, where customers are always on in their chosen social platforms, depending on where your customer base is.
Okay, we've been talking about customers for some time now. The word customer, you've used it a couple of times, which is great. And you've used also the word customer-centricity. Yes. You said, if used well, data can actually help us, achieve that. Let's define that. I think I prefer, to define things so
Yeah.
that it makes sense to everyone.
Okay.
Right? So let's start by defining what customer centricity is. Then once we've done that definition, let's look into how do then businesses become more customer centric?
Yeah. So my definition of customer centricity is where you're designing everything you do in your business is about the customer that you serve. The way you leverage your assets, your people, your technology, the way you design and deliver your products, it presupposes that you understand your customer very well. Put yourself in the shoes of the customer,
Okay.
right? And understanding and anticipating their needs. I think many businesses that are really good at customer centricity is not only they're not only responsive to the customer saying I need this, but is predicting what the customer might need, right?
Okay.
And that's understanding then the customer's industry, right? Understanding their external environment. I think that's very key.
Okay, I love that.
So customer centricity is the totality of understanding and engaging with the customer, and then building the internal capability that supports how you do that, how you show up in front of your customers, and how you engage with your customers. So that's how I see customer centricity. It's everything you do in order to be connected to the customer. And somebody that I work with call it customer intimacy.
Oh, customer intimacy.
Customer intimacy. And it's being connected to the customer in a way that allows you to have a two-way conversation,
Yeah.
mutually beneficial conversation
Yes.
that connects yourself and the customer at the priority of the customer, right? It's not, so customer centricity is not driving your own priorities. And in our businesses, we have a lot of priorities, and it's a good thing. We should always do that. We should plan where we see ourselves, where we see growth. But when we're engaging with the customer, it's about their growth, but where they're going, right? And how do we lever what we do to drive their ambitions, not driving our ambitions. You will drive your ambitions by being connected to driving the ambitions of your customer.
Someone might be listening to you right now and say, sounds like a tedious exercise. Would you say it is?
It maybe initially it is,
Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Where we start unlearning how
The whole habit.
the old habit of what we want.
Yeah,
Right?
okay. Yeah.
And start to remove those habits and start looking at what does the customer want, right? I think when we start having that mindset shift
Okay.
out of what we want to get out of it. Remember, all businesses wants to grow, right? We all want to have impact. We all sometimes set targets for ourselves. When we get out of the habit of looking inwardly and start looking at how we can serve better, then it becomes
How we can serve
easier.
better. I love
How you
that.
can serve better.
Okay, I love that. Then I've got another question for you here. For the sake of business continuity, staying relevant, sustainability really, right?
Yeah.
What should businesses keep in mind, for that purpose, so that we're not kicked out of the, marketplace in the foreseeable, in the near future, if I may put it like that? What should we keep in mind to stay relevant to our people, to stay profitable as a business?
I think one of the key things is to learn from big businesses that had a massive market share that are not around today, or they are not leaders in that business today. I mean, I look at the guys like Nokia, right?
Shame, I'm starting to feel sorry for Nokia because everywhere they're being used, as an example.
I think Nokia and Kodak are big examples.
Maybe
right?
someone would have also thrown BlackBerry in there, but
BlackBerry. I mean, you ask yourself, what happened to them, right? And I think the Nokia CEO, I think, there's a famous quote that is used, attributed to him to say, "We did nothing wrong." right? We did nothing wrong. We were making good phones, right? And we had market share. People loved our. We were running a good business, but we don't exist anymore. In that segment, right?
Okay.
So it's not because they did something wrong. It's about what they didn't do, right? They didn't disrupt themselves, right? And this is where I think business continuity, sustainability is going to come from. Is not being afraid to disrupt what's working, right? Businesses will have to look at their business models and says, how do we disrupt ourselves, right? And businesses of today are not going to evolve like the businesses of yesteryears, right?
Okay.
And there's a guy that I watched something on LinkedIn. He was saying sometimes disruption is going to come from the place you least expected, right?
Yes.
And he was actually citing the light bulb, for example.
Okay.
He says light bulb did not evolve from the guys that made candles. It came from a completely left field. It's not the master candle makers that progressed to produce the light bulb. It was not the guys that made horse and donkey carts that made automobile, that made cars, right? So we should not always expect that we will progress in a linear fashion to where we're going.
That's a good point.
We're gonna need to. I'm sure when Henry Ford started coming up with the automobile, I think the guys who were the horse business. I mean, there was a whole value chain around horses, the carts, and they were reinventing a lot of things and putting in technology and putting in the horseshoes and all of those things. Probably when this guy says, "Hey, I'm making automobiles," people look at him, "Are you crazy?" Right? This is what people want, and they were not wrong, right? That's what they were doing.
Yeah, you're right.
There was a customer for it. It was going well. It was not people were saying, "Hey, we're tired of horses. We're not going to ride horses anymore," right? But there was a need for an automobile, and it came through, right? So I think it rings true to business today. If you are not looking at your business model and saying, how do I move from what I'm doing right now to what my customers will potentially want tomorrow? If you not have a disruptive mindset, you're gonna be in trouble. So and I've seen people hiring people. For example, I've seen financial services people hiring people with no financial services background. And one of the guys that I was talking to, he says, "Ayanda, we need people who think differently to us." Right?
I love that.
We don't need a career banker come into the room and ask different questions, right? Than we've been doing
used to.
All the time.
Yes,
right?
yes. That's a good point.
For me, I think how you sustain your business going forward, you're gonna need people who are just going to a diversity of thought, diversity of whether you bring them into your business or you have mentors that are completely outside of what you've traditionally done. Right? You have a coffee with somebody who doesn't know what you do, what makes you successful, right? Who's just going to ask you questions that are very different from what you'd normally engage with.
Yes.
That's to me, that's self-disruption. We see it in our careers, right? I've seen people that completely change their careers from where they come from simply because they've seen something, they've disrupted themselves, they went and acquired a new skill, and now they're very effective. It's something else, right? And it goes with that notion of don't be afraid to suck at something new.
Okay.
And sometimes you could have a career of 20 years doing something.
That's what you know.
You've built up.
That's what you know.
But don't be afraid to suck at something new.
I want us to sum this up now. I know for a fact that we're going to have to invite you again because there's so many things that I would like us to talk about.
Yeah.
But if we were to sum up this discussion that we had right now into 3-4 points as key takeaways for our audience, what would those points be in terms of what businesses should start doing?
Yeah, I think leveraging data presupposes that you have the data, right? I think people should ask themselves now, are we collecting the right data?
Okay.
Right? And maybe that's more of a messaging for small businesses. And for big business, people that I incorporate, I think some of them are inundated with data. Data is just large quantities of data, both structured and unstructured data. They get asked the questions. Firstly, how do I clean my data?
Yes.
Right? What's my level of data integrity? How do I govern my data?
Yes,
right?
yes.
Where is my data? I still see a lot of big customers struggling with that, to say, and I don't have quite a big handle of exactly where my data is, because data is produced at many layers within the institution, and we don't have a handle on everything that is generated in the organization in terms of data. So that's where they start. They start with collecting data. They start with data governance. They put together frameworks that allows people, put guardrails, and also collect that data, and also clean that data, and ensure that that data drives integrity. Because the worst thing you want is to get the tools that allows you to drive insights, to do reporting, and do, especially in the world of tools such as Power BI, where you could visualize the data and put it out there in a very nice way, but the data lacks integrity.
Okay.
That because you're now creating a problem. Once you move there, and you start to lose your very customers, which are your internal stakeholders, simply because they cannot trust the data you put in front of them.
Okay.
Right? So yes, it's collecting the data is the first step, understanding what your data is, governing that data, cleaning up that data, and ensuring that it has integrity. And then you start to democratize that data, and that's the heavy lifting piece. Maybe in our next conversation, we'll start to talk about how we help people democratize access to data.
That's beautiful.
And then another topic we didn't get into, which is quite exciting right now, is AI. Right?
Okay.
I believe right now, what AI is doing is what the iPhone did in the smartphone market, where smartphones reach critical mass, right? AI in 2023, especially with the recent launch of technology such as ChatGPT,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Where you've got there's large language models that allow conversational AI. I believe this is where AI goes mainstream. This is where every single person will, in one form or another, be interacting with artificial intelligence one way or the other. Whether you are a business, you're doing some predictive things and analyzing behaviors and analyzing large scale of unstructured data that is in the public domain to get customer sentiment, or where you're doing summarization. Maybe you're a big media or telco house with a large call center. You've got these recordings. What do they tell you? How do you summarize that and draw insights from them? This is where AI becomes mainstream.
Okay.
I believe we're there now, right? We can see it, especially for us with our relationship with OpenAI, that wants to advance humanity, right? One of the key principles that they talk about is how to augment human capabilities rather than replace humans. This is where AI is. But I think a lot more education is still needed, because a lot of people still very uncomfortable with AI conversation to say, hey, is this thing going to displace people? And that's not the primary purpose. The purpose is to make us more productive.
I get you. Ayanda, thank you so much. I'm hoping our audience really found value from our discussion. I would love to invite you, for a chat with me again. So much I want us to talk about, right? But I also want us to overwhelm, the people who actually are following this type of work that we're doing. So I think maybe we just want to give them something, just a bit of something to chew inside at the time and process that. But thank you for the time, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, and thank you it's been good, I think, connecting with your audience as well, and it's exciting times. I think all of us, we're being disrupted, and I think the more we accept it, that disruption is here to stay, I think the more we'll embrace it, the more we'll make better use of it and drive the value that we all want to see. So thank you very much for the invitation.
Definitely.
Okay.
There you have it. That's Ayanda, Director of Data and AI at Microsoft South Africa. Till next time, thank you.